I have spent most of my life around restaurants. I have waited tables, helped behind bars, stepped into kitchens, trained people, managed people, watched people leave, watched people grow, and watched talented people burn out because the restaurant needed their labor but never built a real system around their development. I have also seen what happens when restaurants get it right. I have seen managers create safety with one sentence. I have seen teams pull together because they trusted each other. I have seen a guest turn a terrible mistake into a moment of grace. I have seen someone who was nervous and unsure become confident because someone finally took the time to teach them. That is why I cannot accept the idea that high turnover is just how restaurants are. Restaurants are hard. They always have been. The hours are strange, the pressure is real, the margins are tight. The work is physical, emotional, and unpredictable. Guests arrive with needs we cannot always see, and the team has to respond in real time. A restaurant can go from calm to chaos in 1 minute. But hard work is not the same as broken culture. Fast pace is not the same as poor training. High standards are not the same as disrespect. Accountability is not the same as abandonment, and turnover is not destiny. When good people leave, restaurants lose more than labor. They lose experience, trust, guest memory, and the quiet knowledge that helped the whole place work. Then the restaurant starts over, again and again. The industry has become very good at surviving that cycle. It has built habits around the scramble. Post the job, fill the shift, train fast, hope they last, blame work ethic, blame the younger generation, blame the labor market, blame the schedule, blame the applicant pool, blame anything except the system. But what if the system is the problem? What if restaurants are not losing people only because the work is hard? What if they are losing people because the work is hard and the support is inconsistent? What if the first 60 seconds matter to guests, but the first 60 days matter just as much to employees? Black Box Intelligence has reported that employees who make it past their first month are far more likely to continue into the second month, which means the earliest part of the employee experience is not a throwaway period. It is a retention window. Black Box Intelligence, National Restaurant Association. That should change how restaurants think. The first days should not be casual. The first weeks should not be improvised. The first mistakes should not become shame. The first questions should not make someone feel foolish. The first manager relationship should not teach a person that silence is safer than honesty. If restaurants can obsess over the first impression a guest receives at the door, they can also design the first impression an employee receives inside the culture. That is the contradiction at the center of this book. Restaurants know how much feelings matter. They just have not always applied that truth to their own people. 40 years, one accident. For more than 40 years, restaurants have been the place where my mind worked best. I could walk into a dining room, a kitchen, a bar, or a manager's office and notice the things other people missed. I could feel when a shift was already in trouble before the first ticket printed. I could see when a team was quietly depending on one capable person to hold the whole night together. For most of my career, all of that knowledge lived inside me. It lived in memory, instinct, and the thousand small patterns you only learn by living them. Then I had an accident. I did not go to a doctor afterward. I did what restaurant people are trained to do. I kept going. We learn to finish the shift, solve the immediate problem, and keep the operation moving no matter what is happening underneath. It took time before I recognized that my brain did not work quite the way it had before. That is not an easy thing to admit when your entire professional identity is built around knowing what to do. My experience had not disappeared. The decades were still real. But reaching for information, holding on to it, and trusting that it would be there exactly when I needed it no longer felt the same. That frightened me. It also clarified something I had suspected for years. The restaurant industry runs on the same fragile assumption I had just been forced to confront. Restaurants assume the experienced server will remember what needs to happen. They assume the manager will catch the warning signs. They assume the best people will keep carrying the operation indefinitely without anyone ever writing down how they do it. That is not a system. That is dependence. And dependence is fragile.